Good morning. How's everybody doing this morning?
So
It's the 19th,
Juneteenth.
Juneteenth. For those that know what that
Are
is.
you gonna celebrate it? Do you?
Who's going to celebrate it?
You.
I celebrate it every day.
I get that.
Oh, I see you have some special plans, you mean?
Yeah.
No. I'm just playing it like here.
Do you feel? Because like the insecure person would feel it's patronizing. Like now you're.
Well, the insecure person, that's why they're insecure. If they thought that way. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
If you made a holiday about something that you should have like never done in the first place, way after the fact.
That's America. I'm sorry. That's some white Americans, I'll put it that way. See, I don't blame all white people for the situation we're in. Because all white people aren't, it's not their fault. You know what I mean? But those that are the white supremacists and
If you think you're,
if you think you're better than other people because of your race,
I think
you got a problem.
I think that anybody though. It doesn't matter what color you are.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
If you have a problem with other people's color or race, you know, I mean, are there exceptions to that rule?
What do you mean are there exceptions to that rule? I don't hate white people that discriminate against black people because they're white. I hate white people that discriminate against black people because they're discriminatory.
Right.
It wouldn't matter what color
What color you are. Yeah,
You're
right.
as long as if you're being discriminatory against some other person just
Yep.
because of something as simple as the color of their skin, then you're
There's a
obviously
problem.
an idiot.
You have
Now,
a-
if you just don't like the person because, say, the person ripped you off or whatever it may be, whatever reason, then that's different. But if the only reason you have is because you believe the stereotypes that you were taught when you were a child, and you don't actually look into those stereotypes and try to understand if they're real or not, then you're the problem.
You're the problem.
So,
What am I doing here?
Justin always sends me too much money.
What do you mean he always sends you too much money?
Um,
What is he sending you money for?
what do you think?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
So, he always sends me $20 too much. So this time I sent it back, and I usually send it back. South Park had an episode where Cartman, like all the kids are like doing what kids do and trying to find the Christmas presents.
Okay.
You know, the closet and everything.
Yeah.
So he goes into his mom's closet and he thinks his mom has bought him a life-size doll of Anthony Banderas. And it's a life-size blow-up doll with a real-life dick in a hole, and he's carrying it around as if it's his present.
Jesus Christ.
So I sent, when I know you, I'll send, that's what I sent. Real-life Antonio Banderas.
Gotcha.
Because it says you can add a note for what it's for. And you want to add notes to it because then you can, because then it's like, I think you can not pay taxes on it if, I don't know.
So?
If someone told me, I don't know if it's true or not, but either way. So this time I said, real life size Hitler doll, Hitler doll for punching, with real life crowds. Yeah, it's more funny here for you. It's not, yeah. See, that's why I'm not a comedian. I mean, I'd have tried to hone that joke before I said it.
Exactly. And all comedians fuck up a lot.
Oh, I know, you have to. You have to.
You bomb sometimes.
You have to. Well, not all of them do, because there's a few exceptions to the rule.
Oh, every comedian has bombed at one time or another.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They usually have a bad day or a bad night or whatever. It happens. At least that's what I was told.
Yeah.
What was this guy's name? He was a local comedian. I can't think of his name. Bald-headed dude. Oh, man. Okay, I'm going to stop trying to think of it. Good morning, Dean.
Hold on. You're not talking about Dan Ballard, are you? Okay. There used to be a bald, he's not bald, he has alopecia or whatever, the disease with no hair. And he was like, back in the 90s, he was a comedian. And he would travel, like he worked at the hotel for a while. This hotel had a comedy club.
Yeah.
He was like the general manager of the hotel for a minute. But he was like a traveling comedian. I don't know if you ever
I don't know what this dude is doing either. He was a local musician, I'm sorry, comedian. And a few times I saw him on like national shows, but not that much. I don't know if he still does it or not, but he used to like you said, he had a gig at some bar every week. They had a comedy. He was like the MC for the comedy. But
Did you ever go to the Holly Comedy Club? At the
The
Holly
what?
Hotel? The comedy club, the Holly Hotel. You've heard of the Holly Hotel, right?
in Holly,
Yeah, yeah. You know, it's a bar.
Okay.
Oh, well, obviously you did. Why would you go up there?
Exactly.
But back in the 70s, before it burnt down the second time, it was still a hotel, a bar, and it was like rowdy as fuck. And then it burnt down, because it burnt down on the same day, 70 years apart.
Wow.
No, 60 years apart.
That's all ironic as hell, ain't it?
Something like, I think it was 1919 it burnt down, and then in 1979 it burnt down.
What's up? What's going on, Mike? Good morning to you too, dude. What you smoking? Yeah, that comes. I wanna do a stand up one night and build up my nerve and just go and do it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I wanna do it eventually. I got about 5 or 6 jokes right now. I wanna get about 10 or 20 of them. When I feel like I'm ready. If I can do 5 minutes, but if I can do 15, that'd be nice.
I'd love to open a comedy club. I don't think there's any around here that are worth shit.
I don't know. There could be. There, a lot of these local bars have comedy nights.
Like open mic type shit.
Yeah. But they're mostly in the inner city.
Where in the inner city?
On the east side of Detroit, there might be something on the downtown. I'm sure there are a couple of comedy nights downtown somewhere. Gotta be.
So, they got the chefs in right now. Farm bar is what it is.
Say again?
Farm bar.
What is
they're
that?
calling it. At Frame.
Okay, it's called what?
Farm bar. Each month they have
A different, right, pop up, right.
So the chef, I don't think he's ever done it before.
At that place?
Yeah, because I thought they were like a couple from Grand Rapids that had their own place or something. They were doing pop-ups in Grand Rapids. Turns out he's a professor.
Oh, okay.
And
Side.
she's 18.
How old is he?
Well, I don't know, he's a professor, so obviously he's got to be in his 30s. I don't think they're together. That's the thing, I thought they were together, but I don't think they're together. I think it's,
Like a partnership?
yeah, a partnership or something. She came and worked, because she's talking about staying here. She's like, Detroit seems like it's popping, she's a cook.
It is popping for restaurants and business.
Yeah,
It is.
and I was like, yeah, it seems like it.
Oh, it is.
So she's thinking about staying here. Because she lived in Grand Rapids most of her life,
Oh, okay.
you know, but Grand Rapids is pretty, like, if you're not on the rich side of Grand Rapids, you're kind of fucked.
I met this girl that lived in Grand Rapids. And she stayed with a white guy. She was black, pretty, very pretty. And she stayed with a white guy. And she came down here by herself a couple of times. I ran into her at the train station. So she, well, can I come down and hang with you a couple of days? I said, yeah, you can come down and hang with me a couple of days.
Like the real train station down in
The
Detroit?
one on Milwaukee and Woodward, yeah. Well, not Milwaukee. Right there, right across the street from the White Castle, off of Woodward, there is a train station.
Wait, what? What White Castle?
It's a White Castle right there, right near the boulevard in Woodward. It's a White Castle.
So downtown, is it
It's
south?
not downtown, it's in the New Center area.
Okay, so that's, I think of, okay, this is how I picture Woodward in my head. You have where we are now, when it comes to Detroit. You have the north part where we are now, which takes us down to Highland Park. And then Highland Park is Woodward for a minute. And then there's, right after that is,
The Boston
which
is,
is 94, is where Highland Park ends, right? Right around 94?
no,
No,
no.
the Davison.
The Davidson goes right through Highland Park.
right through Highland Park,
Right.
and
Then
then
after
Boston Edison is before 94.
that, yes.
Okay, so the Boston Edison, and then you get 94, which is where the GM headquarters used to be, and the Cadillac headquarters.
That's
which
on the
is
boulevard.
Fisher Building.
Yes, Boulevard.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's, to me, that's,
Okay, so that where you talking about? If you go down Woodward another 3 blocks.
I know I know what you're talking about. There's a fucking, where the Cadillac the Cadillac used to be, there's a railroad track. And right before the railroad tracks is
This is right there. They're at the railroad tracks. Right.
the White Castle that you're talking about.
Right, and then across the street from that is where the train station is.
I didn't know there was a train station there. So they moved the train station from there to there, from the original one downtown. Because I didn't think.
Oh, well, see, okay, you talking about the old train station?
Was that even used when you were alive?
Yeah,
Like you could come in on a train?
yeah. Me and my mom took the train from that station to Washington D.C. a couple of times when I was young.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It's huge inside, man. The inside of that place is like, wow.
It's amazing that it I don't understand what the fuck they were thinking when they just destroyed the city.
What do you mean?
Like,
Who destroyed the city?
think about it, 100 years ago. Oh, to me, who do I think destroyed the city?
Yeah.
The white man that owned everything.
So that was during the Kavanaugh administration, I believe.
No, I think
Kavanaugh was mayor then.
I think when Holman Young became mayor, the white people in power basically did everything they could to make sure that nothing could happen in Detroit.
Exactly.
So basically, instead of like normally what would happen is if you want to leave a city, you move, you sell the property to someone else, and you move on. These people were just sitting on the fucking property.
And renting it out, and when the taxes, they weren't paying taxes, when the taxes became really bad, or they were going to get from underneath the real estate there.
They burned it down.
They burned it down and blame it on
Riots.
exactly. A lot of them got busted for that. I don't know if they ever get any time for it or not, but a lot of them.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, they did. But that was part of the destruction of Detroit back then.
I mean, the auto industry is another big reason. As much as it made Detroit what it is, it also destroyed it because it became its own thing.
Well,
They forced it to become its own thing by taking out the public transit that was in Detroit. The thing that had made
they didn't
Detroit.
want, and the reason why they took that out, they didn't want black people to be able to go to the suburbs.
I know.
And they didn't want white people coming down to downtown Detroit.
They didn't want Detroit.
Unless,
But it was also the car companies didn't want
Well,
people to take fucking buses.
it's called the Motor City.
I understand that.
So our reputation is that everybody in Detroit owns cars.
I know, but the fucking city's not built for cars.
Well, it was then.
No, it wasn't.
Sure it was.
What are you talking about? If you look at, just go
What do you mean
down,
it wasn't built for cars?
go down to fucking 6 Mile right now. It's not built for cars. That shit is built to have a train right down the middle that takes you from point A to point B. All this shit around here was built for people. Now again, this neighborhood and other neighborhoods, but there's a bunch of things that are not for sale and are desolate because they don't have parking. Because they were built before the fucking people, they knew that everyone was gonna have a car. Because 100 years ago, people had cars, but it wasn't like, oh shit,
No,
we got to design these cities.
No, 100 years ago they had very few cars.
That's my point. People still had cars though. Someone who owned a house like this 100 years ago might have had a car.
Might.
Yes.
You're still depending on the source of budget.
But again, they still probably did have a
That's-
or they didn't.
look,
Again, when you're in the
How
city,
you not gonna be a car city and you got the first miles paved road in the world?
no, I'm not saying. My point is you could still have been a car city. You didn't need to destroy the city for it.
Yeah,
They
did.
basically ruined the city.
They had to do that.
No, they didn't. They didn't have to run a highway through it. They ran a highway through it so they could actually control the people.
Exactly.
That's not. You don't have to do that.
They did. They had to do it. And then you demonize the city because it doesn't have any resources.
Right. That's my point.
But one thing they couldn't do, they couldn't match the museums and historic places like that.
What do you mean couldn't match them?
It couldn't. In fact, the Detroit Museum is considered one of the best in the world.
That's fine.
You know, so yeah, they moved out to the suburbs, but there were no buildings for museums and for art things and stuff like that.
I'm saying it's not about them moving to the suburbs because other cities had white flight.
Not like Detroit.
I get that.
Not
I get
like-
that. But one of the big problems is the white flight that happened in Detroit. It was a white flight included a blockade. They literally left the city and were like, you guys want to be in control, but we're going to make sure you don't get anything.
They joke as shit,
Yeah.
which is, you know, very demonistic.
Well, yeah, you're right.
Puff, puff, pass, dude, I hear you. Oh, he's on break. Mike's on break from work, so he's not puffing yet.
Uncle Dean, did you ever ride the train? Out of the train station in Detroit?
Yeah, me and my mom.
I said Uncle Dean.
Oh, Uncle Dino, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, if you ever ride with your train. Were you ever in the historic train building downtown off of Michigan? That's an unbelievable building. The only buildings that matched that I've been to was like the bus station or train stations in New York or Philadelphia. The building was just beautiful architecture. I wonder if that was Khan who did that building. I have to check and see. He did a lot of the buildings in Detroit. Albert Khan. But yeah,
It's been there for a
so
long
this
ass
girl
time.
from, we were talking about Grand Rapids. So this girl from Grand Rapids I met, and she was cool, but I realized something, she was a pill. She not taking pills.
Uh-huh.
So that kind of turned me off to her. So she went back to Grand Rapids, she was living with a white guy, and the white guy had a heart attack and died.
No, he had his Buick.
And then she calls me and says, can you come up here and live with me? I got this big house, it was a beautiful home. I got this big house in Grand Rapids, and I don't have money to pay the taxes and really take care of it. I need you to come up here and live with me. I thought, no thank you. No thank you. She was a pill freak.
Yeah, well, those are one of those things that they tell you it's okay and then it's not. They don't really help you with it. They demonize you, they treat you like you're the fucking problem when it's the companies that are making the fucking pills and doing what they're doing.
Big Pharma, that's what they call it.
Yeah, I know.
Big Pharma is what they call it.
I'm just saying Detroit's demise would have been less if they had still had the trolley. Because the city, like one of the reasons it's so hard
Look,
for the shit to get
That's
out.
what you think because you didn't live through it. They didn't want black people going into the
I
suburbs.
understand that.
And they discouraged white people who were coming to downtown Detroit.
What does that have to do with the trolley system that never made it to the suburbs?
That has everything to do with it. There was no ridership
No.
left for the stuff. There was no ridership.
They sold it before the white flight. They sold it in the 50s.
Yeah.
No, actually
it was
Okay.
It was the mid-50s. Because I remember, look, I was born in 48.
Yeah.
So in the 50s, I was a young kid. And I remember the electric buses and the trolleys and all of that. You know, they had the tracks in the street, they had the electric things above, and then every time the buses would go through the intersection, it was sparks.
Yeah.
And to a kid, I was like, wow, you know. But that came to an end really quick.
Yeah. And it was the car companies that did it because they wanted to push up ownership of cars in the city.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's what, hold it, that's why a lot of people came from down south, black and white people came from down south because Henry Ford was paying $5 a day.
I understand that.
And nobody else was. So Henry Ford said, I want all of my workers to be able to afford a car.
Being able to afford a car is one thing. Taking a city that was built for not cars and then trying to convert it to cars is another thing.
No, but you keep saying, well, it wasn't built for cars. It was built for horses and wagons.
No, which aren't cars.
Yeah, well, I'm making a point. I mean,
For one, when
horses was at their end, coming to their end. See, when I was a child, I remember the vegetable man would come around ringing a bell, ding, 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 ding. He had a wagon and a horse.
Yeah.
The ice man would come around. There was a wagon and a horse. He had big old squares of ice. He covered it with straw to keep it from melting quickly. And so, and the egg man.
You sure those aren't memories from when like you're in Virginia or something like that?
What are you talking about, man? Look, the egg man would come around, the vegetable man would come around. People had ice boxes, not refrigerators.
Yeah, I get that.
So you had your ice box, or you had a box on the back porch where you would put the ice in.
Yeah, that way you can put it in your fridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you had the guy with the coal or the oil. He'd come along with long hose. You know, it was very primitive
Yeah, I know.
before the cars and the trucks and shit.
My point is the city was built for 2 million people without cars. Like, that's the thing. It wasn't really designed.
I don't know if it was built with that in mind, but that's how it turned out.
Well, again, the spoke is in the 1800s. Cars don't exist. But Detroit itself, the way it's designed, the downtown area was designed in like the 1870s. So there's no cars. It's not built for cars. Then you add in the way the suburbs were incorporated, because Detroit was small, and then it just started
Didn't have no suburbs back then.
Well, they had neighborhoods that were incorporated.
The neighborhoods back then.
No, I'm talking about in the beginning, not back when you're a child. I'm talking when it first formed. Detroit was this little spot here where downtown is, and then over time, all these cities and
It expanded.
They expanded and it ate them.
And they went north further than it went east and west. They couldn't go south
West
anymore.
farther.
They couldn't go south
It
anymore
goes
because
west
the
pretty
river
far.
was there.
Yeah, well, yeah, it can't go south.
It was a
East.
fort.
Can't go east either.
Originally, it was just a fort
Mm-hmm.
sitting there.
Yeah, and it's expanded. Well, when it expanded, it wasn't designed for fucking cars, that's all. It needs a public transit system in order for it to really come back.
Yeah, well, like I
Because again,
said,
think how many buildings are gone, how much space is just used for parking downtown? They could be used for actual useful things.
when they get ready to turn walking,
For home.
that's gonna be all walking.
I think, yeah.
They're gonna stop letting cars. in
Now they
downtown.
gotta put a fucking transit system that gets you in there. You gotta have buses that are on the fucking 10. On every main road, you can't just have Woodward. One fucking road is
Well, they just bought 70 buses, man. They just
No,
bought.
it's not buses. You literally have spokes set up perfectly, so you could. The reason why Gratiot looks like shit and Woodward doesn't is because of the fact that there's a fucking train on Woodward now. If you put a train on Gratiot that takes you all the way out to
I don't
fucking
think that's the reason.
the edge of Detroit,
I don't
then the
think
east
that-
side wouldn't be a shit.
I don't think that's the reason.
No, you're right. It's probably not, but still,
But
the city would.
well,
be-
the east side of Detroit is older than the west side.
That's fine, but you still have Michigan Avenue. Michigan Avenue is another perfect place where you can run train, like.
Well, they used to have them.
I know. They have them everywhere.
Michigan, Gratiot, all over the place. They sold all that shit
I know. And
Yeah.
that's what killed the city.
because, well, in a way yes, and in a way no.
It's,
It didn't kill
to
the
me,
city.
it's one of the bigger factors.
It
that
didn't kill the city. It stifled the growth
crippled it. It crippled it. That's my point.
for years. But that's what they wanted to do.
I know.
You know, it's a crying shame, but that's what they wanted to
I
do.
know. That's what it feels like. That's why, like, Cleveland's in the same boat.
All the cities that have a minority population went through the same thing.
Atlanta.
Went through the same thing.
Atlanta got it back though, way quicker.
Well, because there's no winter in Atlanta. You see what I'm saying? That's why Florida has such a high population. Because all of the snow bunnies and shit ran down to Florida.
Well, and the free taxes. It's amazing that you don't have to pay fucking income tax.
Well, that's why Florida is one of the worst states in the United States, because they don't pay no taxes. That's why. I just researched a thing on worst states in America, and Mississippi, almost all of them are down south. There's a few up north, but almost all of really fucked up, that's sick with the poorest populations, almost all of them down south.
Oh, yeah. Because they're still dealing with the ramifications of what happened 100 years ago, or 200 years ago.
And people stop. I mean, I don't understand why any black person would want to live in Florida. I really don't. I just don't understand. All black people should, I know this sounds crazy, but all black people should leave out of states where they're not recognized as human beings. And Hispanics as well.
I mean, it's tough.
You see what they did in Florida? They passed that fucking immigration law in Florida, and they can't find the houses are rotten, the wood and the new construction. The Mexicans left, man, and the houses are sitting there, and it's raining on the wood. These are brand new houses that were already sold to people, but they weren't built yet. In the farm, they said the tomatoes are rotten in the farms. A lot of the produce is rotten, which is going to drive up the price for everybody, but because of what DeSantis and the Republicans did. They told the Hispanic people, the immigrants, I should say, because they're not all Hispanic. They told the immigrants that we're gonna start. If you work, we're gonna arrest you. So what they did, they got the fuck out of Florida. They went to Georgia to work, Texas to work. Now Florida's in big trouble. The farmers are gonna go broke. All because of some dumb ass bullshit.
Some dumbass dude who literally has no idea what to do with himself.
No idea. He's privileged motherfucker. He grew up with money and shit, so
I know.
he don't give a fuck.
It's not even that. It's just his attitude towards life. He's the type of person that's never been able to tell him what to do. So how did you learn anything in college? How did you learn anything in college? You basically just copied and pasted shit so you could get through, but you don't.
And we don't know. His dad might have, just a lot of the rich guys have tutors that are paid for you to even take their tests. Because a lot of these colleges, when they have a test, it'll be in a room with 200 students. You don't know really who's there and who's not. So a black guy can go in my place that knows all the answers and take the test and pass it in with a whole bunch of other pieces of paper. That's how they pass shit.
You think?
Yeah. Look, I know black dudes that did it in college.
What?
I know white guys did it because I know black guys who did it in college. A guy, his dad is rich, they pay somebody else to take their test. And the professor giving the test, he got 160, 110 students in a room. He don't really know who's there, who's not.
Well, he's not even passing up the test. It's his assistant that's passing the
Exactly.
test.
So, you can, well now with AI, you don't need that.
Yeah, whatever.
Subscribe. Yeah, with AI, you don't need that.